Foil Daze, Mogg Catcher, Tangle Wire, Core Haven, Parallax Wave. These are just a few of the impactful cards from Magic's 19th expansion, Nemesis.
But we're not talking about those cards today. Instead, we are talking about the sleepers from this set, the cards that would be good in Commander that are super cheap from Nemesis.
And the video starts right now. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below.
Hello and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We are going to talk about the Commander Sleepers from Magic's 19th expansion, Nemesis, if I can speak. But first, if you wouldn't mind going down there, if you think we're entertaining or informative, hit that subscribe button.
It's the best way to support the channel as we continue to grow. So let's go ahead and get into these cards, and we're going to start off with
on the wrong card.
With a featured common. Just take us to the right card. It's fine. So this is Reverent Silence. This is a free destroy all enchantments.
Yeah, Nemesis has this cool cycle of cards where if you complete something that it checks for, like you have a forest and they have a swamp, or you control a forest, you can pay some alternative cost to the actual mana cost of the card. Reverent Silence as a common seems pretty nutty because it's just like, alright, you take 6, you take 6, you take 6, wipe out all your enchantments, no mana spent.
Or, no, like, and not take 6, but they each gain 6 life.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Each of your opponents gains 6 life, and then all of a sudden you're destroying all enchantments. I mean, this is really, really, really strong.
Yeah.
In Commander, we always look for these cards, like Force of Will. Something that just has an alternative cost. It's very flexible. It allows you to essentially use up all of your mana during your turn, and then when you're tapped out, you have an alternative cost that you can play if you need it to do something. If you really need, like, a holy crap, it's about to hit the fan right now.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. We have an uncommon, featured uncommon as well in Snare. When I saw this card, it's another one that's got an alternative casting cost to the actual Force EMC. It is an instant, or it would be useless in my opinion. I saw this card and I was like, okay, right before turn passes back to me, if I maybe have lethal on the board for some player, or maybe all players, depending on if my Crater Hoof Behemoth's in my hand or something like that, I ensnare at the end of the last person to go's turn before it becomes my turn, just by returning 2 islands. So I was able to tap out the turn before, return 2 islands, ensnare, tap all creatures, untap, and swing for the fences.
Yeah, and in certain situations, you might be able to play more than 1 land per turn, so this might just end up being just like a free tap all creatures. And then you also have the option of bringing it back from your graveyard in certain decks. So I think this spell is really good in the fact that it just hits everything at instant speed. Yeah,
the instant speed too is really critical here because there are a lot of creature-based go-wide decks that have overrun effects, but for the vast majority of those overrun effects, they are sorcery speed, so they have to be cast in main phase 1.
That's
As we go to attacks, ensnare, sorry about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, really good card. It's really neat going through these old sets and looking for things that might have kind of, become forgotten over time.
I found a card that makes good use of thralls. How about an enchantment to pay 1 black and sacrifice a creature? Look at target opponent's hand and choose a card from it. That player discards that card. So, critical parts. You're choosing any card. There's no restriction on what kind of cards you can pick. And you're sacrificing any creature. It does not say sacrifice a non-token creature.
Yeah, you really get, the most out of, goats and goblins and just random fodder that allows you to go through and just pick apart your opponent's hand. The casting cost on this is already very, very cheap with 2 black and 1 other. And then the fact that the ability to use is only 1 black. I mean, you can pretty much go through and be like, all right, main phase 1, we're going to pay 1 black to look at the blue player's hand. And then, depending on what they have, do you need to go back in? Do you need to sacrifice another creature? This card is really going to shine, obviously, in token decks. So maybe something in, Gav, Guru of Spores, this could really be good.
Yeah. Prosh,
Yeah,
I was
think
thinking
it's an
Prosh
card.
players, this is like an almost auto include. If you need a cheap way to really pick apart their hands and make sure that, your burn at the stake or some giant finisher spell is not going to get countered by the blue player, mind slash them. Sacrifice one of your kobolds to get a look at their hand. That's also another way to use this is for 3 black mana and 3 fodder creatures, you could know your opponent's entire hands.
Yeah, their whole strategy, everything, they could just play with it revealed. So, really, Jund and Abzan is where I would really put this card. That's where you're going to be able to get the most use out of it. But, again, for an uncommon and a nice, sticky enchantment, this is a great card. I love it.
We have one more uncommon, and that is Terrain Generator. This one's actually a little more expensive. Now, with this set, the most expensive card is Foil Days, but the rares as far as non-foils, there's not a lot. I mean, $10 for Mogg Catcher, that's about as expensive as this set's going to run you for non-foil rares. This card, Terrain Generator, is about $2 to $4 as an uncommon, but that second ability, pay 2 to tap it and put a basic land from your hand into play, that's so good.
Yeah, I'm really into it. It allows for early ramp. You could just be like EOT, use this ability, put a hand into play, or a hand into play.
Put your land into play.
I hate what happens in my head sometimes.
Terrain Generator, Kill Switch. This one I found, and I'm actually a big fan of this card. 3 mana artifact, pay 2, tap it, tap all other artifacts, and we've got Icy Manipulator kind of, effect on every artifact in play. However, it also has that Amber Prison effect of as long as you choose not to untap it, they can't untap theirs either.
Yeah, I think this card is really cool. It's one of those, all right, everybody's a little bit ahead of me. I see it as a very defensive card, something to kind of slow things down when they're really escalating.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good card, and it's cheap. The effect to use is also cheap.
Yeah, I really like it. We've got Aether Barrier up after that. Pay 1 blue and 2 other for a Staxy card. Whenever a player plays a creature spell, they sack a permanent unless they pay 1. That's it.
If you don't know what Stacks is, essentially it's when the board starts to build up with a bunch of enchantments and artifacts that prevent you from doing anything, and they deny your resources. Very popular Stacks
cards. Don't
teach
players that don't know about Stacks. Don't teach them to become a Stacks player.
I know, the most
Nobody
popular
likes the
Stacks
Stacks
cards
player.
are Rhystic Study, Smothering Tithe,
Ghostly Prison,
Propaganda,
Silence.
that kind of stuff. Those are Stacks cards. They just require this extra cost, and it's taxes and stacks. It's just a pain in the butt, and this card is great. And look at that cute little thing on there. What even is that little thing?
Some kind of little crab lobster.
It just feels like
Bipedal
kind
crab.
of some throwaway art, and I'm not trying to hate.
Yeah, dunking
I
on
really
David
am not.
Martin here.
I'm not trying to dunk, but you just don't see art like this anymore.
No, you've even got the signature up there on the actual art piece. I don't think I ever see signatures on art pieces anymore.
Where is it? I don't see
Right
it.
next to the crab's left foot.
Oh. Are you sure that's not a crack in the ground?
It might be. It looks very, very strangely like a D and an M, though, that ends in ARTIN.
Oh. I can see it.
Yeah, I could see it too. You already saw this, but it's Rising Waters is our next pick. 1 blue, 3 other for lands don't untap during their controller's untap steps. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps a land he or she controls. Jake, looking back at our picks for this one, I'm sorry we picked so many feels bad cards. Take cards out of their hand, make their stuff sack unless you pay 1, make your lands not untap. I'm sorry for this video, everybody.
Yeah, this card is brutal, dude. This card is just and everybody's gonna... I hope you brought something else to do. Maybe you're gonna play on your phone
right,
while everybody's just passing turn and untapping one thing at a time. This is just... it's an absolutely brutal card. I would say you're gonna have as much fun playing against this as the figures depicted in the art are.
Right. They're trying to keep their kids from drowning. One would hope One would hope that the player playing with Rising Waters in their deck has the means to end the game within 2 or 3 turns, and what they've done is Rising Waters to lock everybody else out of the game so that they can go ahead and get it over with and we can go to another game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that. It's going to hurt go wide strategies a lot more than it's going to hurt, single. I don't know. It's
Artifact mana is going to be able to get around this. Ramp decks are going to have a bad time. That's how it goes. And you saw this one at the beginning. Death Pit Offering. 2 black, 2 other. For creatures you control, get +2/+2. However, you do have to sacrifice all creatures you control. Jake and I discussed this one when we first saw it. And really we came to terms with it being in our inclusions here because it says creatures you control get +2/+2. Not black creatures you control or some kind of specific type. It's all creatures in the color black getting an anthem. That's very rare. I think you've got Ascendant Evan card that's given specifically black creatures, things like that have in the past had that ability. Death Pit Offering has
Bad
it
Moon,
for all creatures. Right.
Yeah, what this really just has to do with black. There's going to be, other colors that are going to buff creatures a lot better, specifically like green and white. They're going to give better anthem type effects and bigger. But for black, the fact that you could just have a reassembling skeleton on your field, or honestly, like nothing at all, you just play it, and now you have +2/+2 to all of your creatures in your deck. It just seems very, very good, and it does say creatures you control, or else it wouldn't even be on the list today.
Right.
I think the card is really strong, and I think this is an effect that you're hard-pressed to find in black, especially for such a cheap converted.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are our picks from Nemesis, and now we want to hear from you. Which cards from Nemesis did we miss? Which cards of these cards have you been playing to great success? We want to talk to you about them in the comments down below, so make sure you drop a comment. While you're down there, hit subscribe, hit like. We would really appreciate it, and it helps us grow. If you want to support us further, we got a Patreon. The link is down in the description below. We've got monthly giveaways going on over at the Patreon, so make sure you check that out and see if you're a good fit. And if you want to hang out with us, we're streaming on Twitch most Tuesday and Thursday evenings, so come hang out. Jake, I'm tapped out.
And until next time, I'll see you later, Warehouse.